I thought we should have a fireside chat this morning. Okay? And it'd be nice if it was an interactive chat where you get to participate. Now, just imagine behind me there's a roaring fire, just crackling. Maybe you're in Yosemite, and like this morning, the rain was here, and then it wasn't. Then it was here, and then it wasn't. Kind of like a metaphor for life. Sometimes you're in the darkness, sometimes you're not. So just imagine that. So we live in an amazing world, really an amazing world right now. But we are bombarded with information. Constant information. I read somewhere that 34 gigabytes of information we get a day. Now, you go, what's a gigabyte? Well, how much is that? Imagine sending 6 million emails a day. Can you put that in perspective? Or watching movies for 24 hours a day. We are bombarded with information. And what do we do with that? Because the world is not as we know it or knew it. How about that? The world is not as we knew it. So what is real? Seriously, ask yourself, what is real? In a world of deepfakes and AI, what's real? Not all information is truthful. Not all information is real. So we have to decide how we're going to navigate this world. And what is true for us? Because truth is based on what? What's truth based on? God. That's a good answer. But in reality, truth is based on your human experience, isn't it? If you're experiencing rain this morning in your house, it's gloomy, it's wet. But if you're experiencing the sunshine that came out, you're going to have a different opinion of rain, aren't you? This talk made me think about our beloved June. And she's been around the sun over 100 times. A lot has happened in her life, and some of you will fall into some of this stuff because I made a list of things that happened since June was born. Notable things, good things, bad things. I'm going to list them because I thought they were rather fascinating. I hate to start with this one first, but Adolf Hitler published Mein Kampf in 1923. The Scope Monkey trials happened in 1925, and if you don't know what that is, that's when a teacher was being prosecuted for teaching evolution in the schools. Remember that? He lost. He was convicted. 1926, creation of TV, as we then know it. 1940, penicillin people were dying all over the world from malaria and other diseases, and they came up with penicillin. Early computers, 1945. Now, I'm not talking about Steve Jobs. I'm talking about the computers that would fill this room. They were so big with these little devices and tapes and punch cards and stuff. Nuclear power, 1950. The microwave. Some things you can't live without. 1946. Yeah. Sputnik. 1957, the first satellite orbiting the world. Apollo missions, 1969. Personal computers, now we can think of Steve Jobs, 1970. Internet was developed between 69 and 83. Do you know what WWW stands for? Okay. Because it wasn't worldwide. There were no cables between the United States and Europe and Australia and the rest of the world. There was no connection electronically or digital to the rest of the world. Mobile phones were 1990. They were the size of a bread box, and you walked around with a big bread box with a big tall antenna. Did anybody ever have one of those? Yeah? Very cool. The GPS, 1990. Digital cameras, 1990. Smartphones came around in 2007. Since then, we've had Amazon, Tesla, solar power, AI, deep fakes, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and brain and computer interfaces. That's a lot of stuff. And I would say maybe 50 to 75% of the people remember some of this stuff because it happened in your lifetime. Am I correct in saying that? There's a lot of information out there, and we're forced to decide. Bottom line, we're forced to decide. If we are on social media, we're creating two worlds. We're creating our private world, and we're creating a personal and a public world, how we want the world to see us. Now, I can't imagine if I had the internet when I was growing up. I can't imagine that. Because now it's like a rite of passage. When do kids get their first phone now? What do you think? I'm just curious. When? Junior high. How old are they? 14 or 15. Everybody heard of younger? You know, and I smile at the parents because it's a good reason. You know, they want them to have something in case of an emergency. Okay? But look where it's gone from there, step number 2 and 3. Now, Ernest Holmes, throughout his writings, throughout his career, wanted us to be open at the top. Okay? Open at the top. And he repeated that over and over again many times. So what does that mean for some of you? Kathy, I know you got an opinion.
It means that life is changing and I need to change with it. I need to adapt. I need to have an open mind.
All right, open mind. Anybody else? Steve. How do we evolve with change? How do we evolve with this open-minded thinking? How do you do that? What does that require of you?
Detachment. Stop resisting.
Don't resist. Detachment. Communication. Curiosity. Yeah. Connection with one ones. Being open at the top is really being open to wisdom. It's being open to new ideas. It's being open to new knowledge, new information, and figuring out how to discern truth. The truth is going to be different for everybody. Absolutely different. So that's the little t. Then there's spiritual truth, which we'll talk about, which is the big T. I want to read, where is that? This is by Leon Festinger. He's the guy who came up with the cognitive dissonance theory. And he said, when we're faced with information that challenges what we believe, our first instinct is to make the discomfort, the irritation, and the vulnerability go away by resolving the dissonance. Okay, fair? We might do this by rejecting the new information, decreasing its importance, or avoiding it altogether. The greater the magnitude of the dissonance, the greater the pressure to reduce the dissonance. Think about that for a second. When you are faced with something that doesn't resonate with you, that's not your truth, how do you respond? Now, I'm going to take a chance here and say the word Trump. Now, I guarantee you that that word has some vibrational energy for some people. And it could be really good vibration, and you think that's the greatest thing since sliced bread, or you could be angry about that. So when the two things that I learned in life, nobody wants their politics questioned, and nobody wants their religion questioned. And we don't, in the workforce, do you talk about those things? You're told not to, right? The HR person is telling you don't talk about God and religion and politics. So how do you deal with the resonance, dissonance, resonance, residual, whatever the heck it is? Got too many papers up here. Let me get organized again. We're going to get into something to help us with this fact. It's called fact, opinion, and truth. So what happens when you face the challenges? You have to deal with number one. And this is so important. Opinion. What is opinion in your mind? What does it do for you? Somebody's shaking their head. A held belief. Terry Cole Whitaker said, what you think of me is none of my business. I think that's brilliant. It's a personal belief, view, or judgment served by an individual based on their life experience. So your opinion is based on your life experience. So if you experience communism growing up, you're going to have a certain view of communism. If you experience freedom when compared to other truths, you experience freedom. Opinion is based on your beliefs. But we tend to let the opinion, the good opinion of others, influence our decisions, influence our reality. What about a fact? What is a fact? 1 + 1 is 2. Can that be proven? Okay, can it be measured? Can it be true or false? Yes. But this is where it gets tricky, because it was an absolute fact that the world was flat. Absolute fact. It was proven in science, in the journals, in philosophy, spiritual world. The world is flat. And we're going to show you how it is. Until what? Somebody sailed around the world and said, no, it's not. How about gravity? Is gravity a fact? It's a law, but is it a fact? It can be proven. But what happens if you're in outer space? You know you don't. What gravity do you have? Prove it. Okay. Well, but you see, there's one of those things. Suppose gravity works 9,999,000 times. And then one day you wake up and you find everything floating up. You don't have to worry about it.
I'd be open at the top.
Wow, good one. I'd be open at the top. You know, let me get that apple down because I'm sitting here. Okay. What about truth? Something we believe in regardless of the circumstances. Now, have you ever found yourself just knowing? You know something. It just is. And it doesn't matter what they say. You just know it to be true. That's a little t. Big T is spiritual truth. You know, in religious science, we say we want a world that works for everyone. Now, how can we create a world that works for everyone when we have so many individualized expressions of the one unique consciousness, which we are calling spirit, and our individualized expressions? How do we create a world that works for everyone? Anybody want to tackle that one?
See the face of God everywhere you go.
See the face of God everywhere you go. Respecting each other. What about your sister? She agrees? Okay, anybody else? Total acceptance of what? Everything. Even if they are politically different than you? Even if they are atheist? Even if they are different? That's what we teach. So that is so much harder to do because once we have to get out of our heads from the brain thinking part to the heart feeling part. If we can make that connection, we can be open at the top. So I wrote down some ideas, tools for truth. Spiritual truth does not change. We call that eternal. Here we go. Number one, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Do we agree? Yes. We're not human beings having a spiritual experience, or we're spiritual beings having a human experience. Which is it? And what does that mean? Everybody walks this planet and they are spiritual whether they are aware of it or not. How can you not be spiritual? Did you ever hear anybody says, oh, I saw the light and I started walking the path and I became aware and all that kind of stuff? Great. So what did you do before you walked the path? Where was your spirit? Your spirit was there whether you're aware of it or not. Our souls know the way. So I'm going to say souls to mean a couple things. I just like the word, and it resonates with me. But what do we call it in religious science? Soul. Or is there another word for what we call that? Consciousness. Individualized expression. Individualized expression of the one. We are connected to the whole. We are part of the whole. So when we die, what happens to our consciousness? Our dear June passed away. Her body is here, left here. But what passed on, do you think? And it's his opinion. Yeah? She's back in bliss. Her consciousness, I think, goes on. I think it expresses into a bigger place, a bigger expanse, a world that we call love. And our soul, how can we describe a soul inside of us? Individualized expression of what? God. The ocean, 1,000,000 billion drops. That one drop, your one individualized expression, which is a drop, does not make the ocean, or does it? Does that one drop become the ocean? Yes, it does. all put together, we are the ocean. By ourselves, we are not. That's how I understand it. Energy is who we are. Love is where we come from. Love is where we return to when we die. So I like that explanation. When I die, my soul, my self-consciousness, my individualized expression of the one, me, returns back to love. Everything is connected. We are connected in so many ways. Rumi said, consciousness sleeps in minerals, dreams in plants, wakes up in animals, and becomes self-aware in humans. Wow. This man's brilliant. I mean, how old is he? So our bodies, our feelings, and our emotions is what we have to understand and interpret to understand the connection we have with other people. Because our emotions, our feelings, are barometers of who we are, where we are, any given point in time. And if we can't understand our feelings, how are we going to interact with the world? Otherwise, we're just going to be interacting blah, blah, blah. Okay. We have the access to knowingness at all times. We have access to God at all times. We have access to consciousness all the time, and we have access to truth at all time. So the hard part is, how do you access this wisdom that is coming your way 24/7, 7 days a week, 9 to 5? How do you access it? How do you trust it? How do you know it's not your brain going, you're not good enough, you can't do this, you're not tall enough, you don't make enough money, you're not good enough? How do you access it? Listen. Boy, you should be a minister. You listen. What do you listen for? What are you listening for? Steve, what are you listening for over there? Yeah, you. And how do you know in your body that something rings true if you're listening? Sounds right. How does it feel? How does it feel? Knowing your feelings. Go ahead.
I have an inner knowing that I feel right down the center of my body, and it's a light when it's truth.
Okay. How many people feel the truth? Okay. How many people see the truth? Okay. How many people hear the truth? Okay, we're all different. The key to it is understanding in your body, in your life, when truth is being spoken to you, so you could go, aha, Spirit's calling, Spirit's talking. Oh my God, really? Because if you don't know, you're just going to keep on going, as you've always gone. Oh, I got a smile over there. All right. Oh, I got a couple more things. I don't know. Should I keep on going? You're not bored? Okay. This is big. This is Science Mind 101. Words have power. Words have power. So if you're a therapist or a psychologist, you're very careful of what parents tell their children when they're growing up. When I was growing up, the message I got so often was, Arpad, you're so silly. And I I thought that was like a bad thing. I shouldn't be silly. I should be more serious. But now, with my granddaughter, and she says, Papa, you're so silly. I say, thank you. I love it because I could be playful, I could be spontaneous, I can be who I need to be. But those words from my parents were really hard. You know, I don't like being told I was silly. You know, it's not what young men do, you know. You know, words are seeds, yes. Whatever words we use, we will plant those in our children. We will plant those in our neighbors. We will plant those around us. And of course, any seed that gets energy and gets watered and gets fed by your intentions will grow. Now, you can plant weeds, or you can plant roses or flowers. You can plant happiness and success and prosperity and abundance, or you can plant struggle and fear and rejection and a bunch of other stuff. Healing comes from within. Cure is the business of medicine. Healing comes from deep within. So, for the practitioners, put you on the spot, when somebody comes to you for a session, are you treating their condition? Are you treating for their cure? Or are you treating for their healing? And that's a real question because I'm on the prayer list. I see what people ask. It's a bunch of stuff about health.
Healing is just revealing God.
Healing is revealing. Woo! Come on up here. No. Healing is an inside job. Okay? Curing is not an inside job, but it's have you ever found the perfect surgeon who was absolutely magical and saved your life or saved somebody you know? They are an expression of God, but their business is curing. Okay? So we have to connect it to. It's not one or the other. You know, I remember Dr. Jackie would come to her for a cure. She'd go, shut up. You're not curing anything. Time is an illusion. Live in the now. We've heard that. That's a hard thing to living in the now is hard, don't you think? Because we're overstimulated. We've got a bunch of false truths coming at us, and we have to decide, and then we're responding to the stuff, and the now is now. So I think Carla asked me a question. I said about travel, and I said, well, my wife and I are getting to the point, if not now, when? You know, when will my body, it will give out, and I can't walk around and visit and travel like I want to. You know, I still have this bad habit of standing on the edge to take the picture. I swear I do, and I've fallen a couple times. I fell in the Mono Lake and almost drowned, and in the middle of the winter, and if it wasn't because 2 firefighters happened to be there, I could have been dead by now. If not now, when? We are never alone. Oh, God, we are never alone. We're never alone. We're with the community, we're the friends, we're the Spirit. We have a divine intervention. We can talk, we can connect, we can speak, but we have to listen, and we have to trust. Okay? You got to trust. If you don't trust that higher power, that higher consciousness, the truth that's speaking to you, I'm going to say you're doomed. The unlived life is the greatest loss. Just think about that. Number 10, I love this one. We are not responsible to convince others of our own truth. We are not responsible to convince others of our own truth. A world that works for everyone. We may believe it, they may not. You got to decide how you want to handle it, how you're going to let them into your life or not let them into your life, or how you're going to protect yourself in your life. We don't care. And number 11, love is why we are here. Period. So we're just going to do a quick quiet the mind. Just close your eyes for a couple of minutes. And just relax just for a moment and just imagine one event, one experience in your life where someone or something or some person or issue just got in your face. How did you react with that? Were you pleased with your reaction, or do you wish you had a second chance? If we are connected, Spirit always gives us a second chance to do right, to correct the wrongs, to learn to forgive. We are that love. You are that love. So ask yourselves, what do I need to do? What is there for me to do, for me to learn, for me to move forwards, to be the best me that I can be? Let love in. Let it be your guiding light. And let your true divine self shine. And say thank you, God. And just come back to the room. And there we go. Happy Sunday.